for many different reasons. And I'm going to use the word suffer for lack of a better word, suffer from GERD and suffer from acid reflux. And it really, really can be very, very painful and very uncomfortable. So there are definitely things that we can do to keep it at bay and to make sure that we don't have a flare up. Unfortunately, sometimes people do have flare ups, in which case there are certain foods that are very, very helpful to help kind of bring that down. And then sometimes, unfortunately, most of the time, we actually really need to go to over-the-counter medication that can help us with this pain or this discomfort. About GERD is obviously eating foods that are basic as opposed to acidic. So that's very, very helpful. Not wearing tight-fitting clothing. If we do wear things like yoga pants, we should only really wear it for physical activity, working out, but most of the time we really should be wearing things that are looser fitting. That can be very, very helpful. Also making sure that we are staying upright at least 30 minutes after eating any meal, even if it's something that's not, highly acidic, but especially if it's something highly acidic, waiting even closer to an hour before lying down can be very, very helpful. Also staying away from things like caffeine, spearmint. These are all things that can definitely cause a flare up in GERD or acid reflux. Again, things like ginger are very, very helpful to help bring that down a little bit, but more often than not, we will need to go to things like over-the-counter medication like Prilosec, but things of that sort. Tums can be helpful to some people, but other antacids are usually more helpful for people who really do suffer from GERD. But there is a very, very large food and nutrition component to GERD. Anything that uses a whole grain is usually pretty GERD friendly, and making sure, there's not too much acid. So no tomatoes, no mint, no citrus. Those things typically will flare up GERD.
First of all, I'm going to make a carrot and coriander soup today. And then also I did like a little Mediterranean bowl. So I did the coriander and carrot soup. It's actually GERD friendly. So I'm going to start it off. Like right now I'm heating up my dish right here. I'm going to put some olive oil in here. A little bit of olive oil spray. I love this spray. Then I'm going to add some onions and turn it up a little bit so I can feel the heat. I'm going to add the onions in there. This is such an easy recipe. If you have like leftover carrots in the refrigerator, things like that, you can actually put celery in it and stuff like that also. I'm just going to put some carrots, sizzle that up a little bit. Add the carrots in. I tried to cut the carrots like the same size. I also have potatoes. I've got my potatoes in water. I'm going to drain them right now. I'm not going to use cream in this recipe. I'm just going to try and keep it, like with just these veggies. Got a complex carb here. So I'm going to drain the water. You can probably hear the sizzle going on. And the coriander, I'm going to use the tops of the coriander at the end of the soup, but right now I'm going to use the bottom of the coriander. These stems, they have so much flavor in them. So I'm just going to tuck them in. Put them in there. And then last of all, some salt and pepper. Salt and pepper mixed up here. You see that cooking? And then after that, you can get your veggie stock or your chicken stock, whatever you prefer. I have some chicken stock here because that's what I had at the house. But you can completely keep it vegan. And then you're going to add your broth right over like this. Just above the thing. I'll probably add a little bit more broth in that after. And then you're going to let that sit and come to a nice boil, then lid it 15-20 minutes. After the 15-20 minutes is done, we're going to get the blender and we're going to turn the soup into a smooth, creamy soup. Okay, so after that's done, this is what I use. You could use a plate masher, whatever you have. Put the little pieces in there and I just blended the soup. And we have like a nice creamy soup. Some people add cream to this. As I said, I just added a couple of potatoes for it instead. Okay. And then I will show you quickly how I made a turkey burger. With this turkey burger, I did a couple of raw veggies and a tzatziki sauce. But I just had a little bit of turkey meat here. I made some little patties. I'm going to quickly just put a little bit of olive oil on my hand so it's easy. And then I'm going to just make a couple of little burgers. I put a little bit of yellow mustard, onion powder, some whole wheat breadcrumb, just a tiny touch. We're not going to do a huge patties. And then we're just going to shape them into our patty. All right. We have a nice little patty shape here. And then we're going to put them directly on our pan. And cook them all the way through. Okay. I'll wash my hands. This is our recipe of the week. So we have our burger with some tzatziki sauce, with some beets, some cheese, mushrooms, and some grilled zucchini. Here is your soup. And ginger water. As Ariel mentioned, the ginger water is great for GERD.
When people do suffer from GERD or acid reflux, it's really important that we make sure that every meal we're starting off our day with things that are basic, as I mentioned before, as opposed to acidic, so that we're on a good start for the day, right? We want to start the day strong and good and not in pain, and make sure that we kind of start the day that way. So I am doing an overnight oats, which I love because it's so easy. It's so simple. It's so healthy. And it's really easy and on the go breakfast, but it's something that you definitely get used to. And it's so easy. It's so delicious. And it's so versatile. There's so many things that you can do to this. So there's a bunch of recipes online. They have like PB&J oats. They have something called banana bread, overnight oats, which I happen to make and love. You kind of mash bananas, some chopped walnuts, add that all in with the basics. So the first thing we want to do before we kind of add any flavor to it is make our basic overnight oats. So the first thing we're going to do is I like to make it in a mason jar. You can make it in a big airtight container if you're going to eat it for a few days. I wouldn't keep it for more than like 2 days in the refrigerator, 3 days at most, depending on the toppings that you put in. But I usually like to make them fresh the night before. It takes less than 5 minutes to make. So it's really easy. I like to make it in a mason jar. It's nice, it's easy, keeps the oats really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a half a cup of rolled oats. We don't want to use steel cut oats. It doesn't come out the same. We want to make sure that it's rolled oats. The steel cut are a little bit more harsh. They don't absorb the liquids that you're using in the same way. So we want to do a half a cup of that. So now we have a half a cup of the oats. The next thing we want to do is we want to take, you can use dairy milk, you can use non-dairy milk, about a half a cup of almond milk. But again, you can use any type of milk that works. You definitely do need a milk or, some sort of liquid, because that's what is going to be absorbed by the oats to help it, become that overnight yummy, delicious texture. The next thing I'm going to do is I just add a regular low-fat plain yogurt. You can add Greek yogurt if you want. I happen to not like Greek yogurt, but if you do, that's great. There's a little bit more protein in Greek yogurt, so it's good. I'm going to do about like a quarter of a cup of yogurt. Again, this is going to help kind of thicken up these oats a bit, and the oats will absorb the liquid from the yogurt as well. And it will just be so yummy and so delicious. The next thing I like to do to add is a little bit of maple syrup. You can add some honey. You can leave it as is. You don't have to add anything. I just like it for sweeten. I like to add like less than a tablespoon just to give a little bit of a dash of a sweetness. You can add some vanilla in there also. It gives a really nice smell, some cinnamon, which is also really delicious depending on, the flavors that you're going to use. So I just used a little bit of maple syrup. Smells so good already. The next thing I do is I take some chia seeds, and I'm going to use about a tablespoon of chia seeds. What chia seeds do is, again, when it's in liquid, they kind of pop and they become like a gelatin type of texture. and it helps keep us full. There's some omega-3 fatty acids in there, so those healthy fats that are actually pretty difficult to get. So there's plenty of them in just 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. It helps kind of just make this very homey and creamy and delicious. So we kind of put all that together. It may not look so pretty right now. It definitely looks prettier in the morning when you take it out of the fridge. Again, you don't have to make this at night. It says overnight oat. It doesn't mean you necessarily need to make it at night and put it in the fridge. We want to make it at some point the day before. Then what I like to do is I like to layer just because it gets pretty. So right in here, I have some strawberries. My first layer is going to be some strawberries. And again, if you want to add some peanut butter in there, you can. So I have some strawberries in there. Then I'm going to add actually some pumpkin seeds. I love the flavor of pumpkin seeds. I love the crunch. It gives it also some healthy fats in there. So I add some pumpkin seeds. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add some chopped banana. So I just sliced some banana. You can actually mash some banana if you want and add it to the basic level, which is the oats and the milk and all of that. And this is really it. It's so delicious. Again, it may not look so pretty right now, but you let it sit in the fridge. If you are going to slice the bananas, I'd probably slice them before you serve it, just because they get brown. If you want to mash them, that's fine. You can keep them in there overnight. Then you want to tighten it. Make sure it's nice and airtight. There's no air in there. And then you put them in the fridge. And these I made last night. The texture is very creamy looking. It's like a thick yogurt with the oats. It's super, super delicious. So easy to make and very, very GERD friendly. Oats are extremely GERD friendly. Any whole grain is very, very GERD friendly because they're very basic. There's no acid. That can really help us get through our day.